Welcome, folks, to Blair's Phone. Just a few wee bits and pieces we need to run over. We're doing CPR tonight. Um, just in the event, a wee bit of housekeeping. If the fire alarm does go off, we will go out the front door and into the car park just opposite the hall. Okay, just keep switch your mobile phones off unless you need to keep them on if you're a member of the emergency service or something like that. That's fine. Another wee thing is we will be doing physical activity this evening. So if you do have any problems getting down onto the floor or anything like that, please let me know and we will accommodate you as far as that's concerned. What we're heading for this evening is to learn a bit about CPR, what is CPR and why we do it. Okay, what is the benefits of doing it? And we will be taking you through role play and we want you to demonstrate it as well. So plenty of feedback if you have time and we will take it from there. Okay, has Annie's ever done any first aid before? A wee bit of first aid, so you have a bit of knowledge of where we're coming from. It's always good to refresh, even if you've done this recently. Updating CPR or any aspect of first aid is really good. Okay, now your aims, what we're trying to get at here is we want you to accomplish something this evening, right? And I want you to leave at the end of this 1 hour session being able to identify when a casualty needs CPR and what to do. But that's very, very important, okay? And we will take as much time and whatever teaching material that is required. Okay? When we're doing CPR or any aspect of first aid, we need to have a protocol. Okay? That is one thing that's always very useful in doing this. And at the end of this evening, we will be giving you some handouts, so you don't need to take any notes. So it's better to look at me and learn. And there's all the stuff here, but what we're going to do now is we're going to go through this protocol and take it step by step. The first thing we really want to do is when we come across any incident or anything like that is check for danger. Now, who's the person we really want to safeguard first of all?
The casualty?
The casualty and ourselves, because remember, if we become unconscious, we really are no good for the casualty. So we want to make sure that we are safe when we come across any situation like that, that we know we can go in there and do something. If not, then the best thing for us to do is just to contact the emergency services. If it's too dangerous, and the numbers we ring is 999 or 112. 112 is a European number incorporated here, and it just takes you through to the same exchange. So always check for danger when you come across any situation. That's very, very important. The next thing we want to get from our casualties is a response. Now, what do you think is a response? What's an acceptable response from a casualty?
If you ask them a question and they answer?
Yes, you could do that. That's a good response. What might be the least thing you would see in a casualty? Movement. Where might you see that? In the eyes. Okay. So, yes, if we ask them a question, if they're verbally talking to us, that's brilliant. Is breathing a response? Could we take breathing as a response? No, we can't. And this is where it's best to come on courses like this where you get an opportunity to understand that you could be in a coma for a long time but still breathing but not respond. And this is one of the things we want to make very clear to you. So we will show you how to get a response. And shout. Basically we are shouting, is there anyone else able to help us? Okay? And somebody come to us with a defibrillator if we need it, a first aid kit, or maybe they can get us extra emergency services, which may be required. Okay? So can you think of any other services that may be required apart from an ambulance? Yeah, fire service, or if it was a road traffic collision, or maybe the police as well. So you have to factor in all these things. Airway is one of the things I'm going to talk a lot about this evening, and that is vital because when we go unconscious, our muscles relax. And your tongue is a huge muscle, and what can happen is it can slightly fall back and close off your airway. So this is something we will be reinforcing right throughout the evening. Breathing. Now, if you notice I have put a thing here, normal breathing. Why would I say normal breathing? We will be checking for breathing. We will be using 3 senses to do that. But what do you think normal breathing is? I use all breathing normal. Yeah.
It sounds normal.
Yeah.
Regular.
But there's nothing to indicate the person next to you is not breathing normal. Okay, so that's the sort of thing we will bring into this. Then we'll move on. We'll not talk too much about CPR at the minute. We'll leave that to one side. We want to deal with this right through till checking for breathing. And what we will do then, if the casualty is not breathing normal. Okay? Okay, now let's assume we've just walked into the room and we find this casualty, right? We've checked for danger and it is safe to approach the casualty, so there is no danger around. What we are trying to achieve now is get a response. So tap the shoulders, shout into both ears, "Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?" If there's no response, then we can shout for help. "If somebody help me!" Good loud shout. And when you're giving commands, good loud commands. That's very important, right? At this stage, we are not getting any response from our casualty. Also, the one thing we do want to do is, if it's possible, scan the body for what we call catastrophic bleeding. If you see any areas of the body that's really damp, have a look and see, is the person profusely bleeding? Because we need to stem that flow of blood very quickly. There's no point coming up here and looking for signs of breathing if the person's just bleeding to death in a matter of minutes. Okay, so that is very important to look at the body overall, see if there's any aspects, any telltale signs that gives you a clue something's not right here. Losing a lot of blood. Now we have checked for response, we've shouted for help. Hopefully somebody will come along. The next thing we want to do is open the airway, right? And what we want to do is put one hand on the forehead, 2 fingers under the chin, and gently tilt back. Okay, like that. Now on some occasions when you do that, your casualty may just start to breathe, because by tilting the head back, you will open the airway, lift the tongue up a bit, and you might just see it starting to breathe. We will use 3 senses to check for breathing. Look, listen, and feel. We will look at the chest wall to see if it's rising. Don't put your hand on it. We will listen to sounds, and we will feel the breath on the side of our cheek. Now it's very important that you take up to 10 seconds to do this. Okay? And I'm going to demonstrate here. Just set this to one side for a second. And you really need to get your cheek right down to here. So down like that. Now this casualty is not breathing normal. It's not. Okay? What we need to do now is we will have to implement CPR. If there's a defib in your hand, hopefully somebody will get it. If we know where it is, we can get it. What we have to do is try and keep the person in this state until a defib arrives. Yeah. And we will phone immediately for an ambulance before we will start CPR. Okay? We need to phone immediately. Now, doing CPR is not difficult. Okay? I'm going to take you through the whole procedure. A good bit of safety advice is remove any big watches that you may have, any big rings. Okay? Locate, this is what we call the sternum, breastbone, like that. And basically, with the heel of your hand sitting here, that, bring your other hand over. Now, it's very important to position yourself correctly when you're doing CPR. This is the most important thing. Keep your arms locked totally straight. Don't bend your arms. And we are going to give 30 chest compressions. It's about 5 to 6 centimeters deep. And we're trying to achieve a speed of about 120 per minute. So, ideally, it should take us 15 seconds to do 30 chest compressions. Okay? Now, when you have 30 chest compressions done, the next thing you need to do, well, we can't compel you to do it, but it's beneficial for the casualty, is to give 2 rescue breaths. Okay? Later on, we'll explain the reason why it's beneficial. At the present minute, we want to demonstrate this to you and then let you have a bit of practice. We always open the airway, pinch the nose. That's very, very important. And we're just giving a normal breath. Okay, make a good seal right here like that. Open the airway. Give 2 normal rescue breaths and come back and continue. Any questions about this so far? Please do ask. The one thing about this is you never stop unless the person becomes sick or the ambulance personnel arrives and they take over. Okay, so you just keep going. That's very important.
Okay, so first thing I check for is danger. Have a look around for danger.
Good.
Don't see any. Next thing is response. Hello, can you hear me? Open your eyes for me. No response. Shout for help. Somebody help me. And then airway, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
1 hand on the forehead, 2 fingers in the chin. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Tilt right back. Good. Just keep the airway open. Look, listen, and feel for no more than 10 seconds.
Okay. There's no breathing. So, what am I going to do now? Get an ambulance? Yeah, somebody get an ambulance on the way? Yeah.
If there's no one available, if they don't come back from phone, and then you will have to go on phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll assume help's on its way.
Yeah. So 30 chest compressions.
And just make sure you get the right hand position. That's perfect. Go ahead.
30.
And 2 rescue breaths.
Another 30. Ready?
Now, Gary, as we explained earlier on, and when you come in, we want to check for danger. So we'll assume there's no danger here. What I want you to do now is go ahead and check for response. So just tap the shoulders and share it into both ears.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you open your eyes? Can you open your eyes? Hello, can you hear me? Can you open your eyes? Can you open your eyes?
So we're getting no response. So what should we do now at this stage? So we'll a good loud shout for help.
Help! Help!
Good. So this gentleman here could assist us.
Yeah.
Now, before we would send you off, what we want to do is to check is the casualty breathing normally. Put one hand on the forehead and just tilt right back. And take your time now. Look, listen, and feel for no more than 10 seconds. A very important check. Very important. So your cage is not breathing. So now we would start the process of doing 30 chest compressions. So just go ahead and find the right location. And make it nicely over. And 5 to 6 centimeters. And we're trying to achieve about 120 per minute. Okay, folks, as I explained earlier, one of the things that we take very seriously in first aid is airway management. Okay? We will check for normal breathing. And if we discover that the casualty is breathing normally but not responding to us, then what we really need to do is put them into the recovery position. And it's not difficult. All we want to do is just take the hand nearest to you, set it like that. Now remember, your casualty is unconscious, so there'll be no muscle resistance. It'll just be totally floppy. So wherever the arm goes, just let it go like that. A quick check here to make sure there's no big bunches of keys or anything. The hand furthest away from you, over like this. Okay. Now the purpose of doing that is to keep the head in line with the body, just in case they have a neck injury. Right? Up like that. From the top of the knee, don't bring your casualty over from here, from the top of the knee, and when you start to bring the casualty over, don't stop. So just go like that, bring the casualty right over, make sure the airway is open, bring this leg up to the right angle, get down and recheck for breathing. That's very, very important. And also, cover your casualty up. Basically, preserve their dignity and keep them warm because they're unable to generate heat, they're just lying there. Keep monitoring their airway. Now the sole purpose of recovery position is to maintain an airway. That is the sole purpose of recovery position. It's nothing to do with breathing. It may help the breathing, but basically all you're doing is protecting the airway and keeping it open. Alright? So that's what I want to see you doing. Each other. So, okay, and you can just roll back now. Okay, so would you like to have a go? Go ahead. Just as you see me doing it, if there's anything at all, I will talk you through anything that's required. There is no danger. We have checked for danger and there is no danger.
Okay, we take this arm, move it out to there, and the arm furthest away from us.
Yes. We ring palm to palm.
Right here.
And keep your hand there, that's good.
The leg furthest away from us.
Lift it right up, good.
Up to there.
That's excellent.
And then gently turn our casualty over.
Nice and gently.
Open his airway again. Bring this leg up. Recheck his breathing for 10 seconds. He's still breathing normally. Then we'll cover our casualty up, keep him warm. Okay.
Excellent, well done. So we'll just recap on that. Have your seat and we'll just go over any wee bits and pieces.
Okay, that's great.
Right. As I was explaining earlier, we can't compel you to do rescue breaths. Okay, it's a decision you have to make yourself. One of the advantages of it is we breathe in 21% oxygen and we breathe out 16%. So if you give a person a rescue breath, it's as good as them breathing for themselves now. Okay, so it is beneficial to give a rescue breath. And as we said before, give 30 chest compressions and 2 rescue breaths. And we're trying to aim for about 120 a minute. Now I know when you were doing CPR, Carl, you were really a wee bit fast at the start, but you got nice and steady. But that's okay. That's the way it is. You learn as you go along. So, but your technique was very good. I was very impressed with that. Okay, any questions on that? We just have a few things to wrap up for the end of the evening. As I say, it is important when you're doing CPR to do something rather than nothing. That's very, very important. Okay, you're buying time until a defibrillator arrives. There may be one in the building next to you, or if you're out in the country, well, maybe put the kettle on and wait for it to arrive at some stage. You know, depends how far you are out, but at least every time you compress the chest, you're giving the person a fighting chance. And think about it, every second you delay in giving CPR, or every minute you delay in giving CPR, the chances of survival goes down by 10%. So that is a lot. Okay? So we will over a cup of coffee if there's anything else that you want to do. I have a few wee bits and pieces of questionnaires that I want you to fill in, just on how you felt the evening went. And also I'll be giving you this. I think it's really a good thing. It also talks about choking. We did mention choking earlier on, what to do. And the full thing about CPR, and it also includes child and infant, because we would do CPR slightly different in the initial stages for that. So if there's no further questions, thank you very much for coming along this evening. I hope you don't have to do this too soon, but one never knows when you're out there. If somebody just collapses and you have the knowledge to do CPR, that is great benefit to the casualty. So I think it's now time to get the kettle on. And thank you very much for coming along.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.